Welcome back to our online Facilitating Adult Learning course. In Module 2, we'll take an in-depth look at how adults learn, how to create an empowering learning environment, and how to engage different types of learners through a 3-step cycle. Remember, at any time you can pause this presentation using the video controls, and you can also go back to repeat anything you didn't catch. Make sure you keep notes for your reference on the material that is most relevant to you. Let's begin by taking a look at 6 principles of adult learning. Number 1 is about motivation. Adults are motivated to learn when they experience a need. For some Girl Scout courses, it's pretty easy to identify that need. A volunteer needs to learn, for instance, how to perform first aid and CPR, or how to take a group of girls camping. For others, it's harder to tap into that motivation. When teaching the basics of troop management, a new volunteer may be overwhelmed with information or may feel that not all the information in the course applies to his or her troop. As a facilitator, think about your learners' needs and expectations. How can you help them become motivated by discovering the what's in it for me aspect of the course you're leading? Number 2, adults coming to workshops mean business. They are coming ready for a task-oriented approach, not just to sit through a presentation or talk about theories. As a facilitator, how can you reach your learners with problem-solving activities? Can you build some time into the course to practice applications of the topic? Number 3, remember your participants will not come in as blank slates. They may have extensive experience with Girl Scouts or other organizations, so make sure to tap into their valuable experience as a resource. Cooperative learning is one of the 3 key processes that Girl Scouts emphasizes for girls, and it's just as important for adults. Allow opportunities for your learners to share their experience in pairs or small groups, as well as the full group setting. Number 4, we are back to motivation. In the first principle, we looked at how adults are motivated by a need to learn something. But it's also important to keep in mind the internal and external factors that keep us motivated. What, for example, motivates a person to volunteer for Girl Scouts? Think about your own reasons. What helps you to feel accomplished? And what factors detract from motivation for you? Reflect on how you can use your own preferences to tap into your learners' motivation. Principle number 5 is about self-direction. Girl Scouts is, after all, the premier leadership development organization for girls. And as we empower girls, let's also make sure we are empowering our adult volunteers to direct their own learning. Be careful of information dumping or spending too much time presenting. Even in this online learning session, we hope that you, as a participant, are able to take the time to reflect on the ask yourself questions and provide your own insightful answers in your notes. Finally, when learning as an adult, we are often looking for the reason or justification that we are required to learn something. So as a facilitator, your participants will be looking to you to provide that reason. How can you help your learners understand the what's in it for me of the material you're covering? For some things, it's simple. Volunteers are required to have a first aider on any troop trip, so they need to learn first aid and CPR. Experienced campers, however, may feel they do not need to take a Girl Scout outdoor leadership course to learn about camping. There, it's important to stress that outdoor leadership is about camping with Girl Scouts and the importance of guiding girls through a progression of skills as they learn by doing and practice cooperative learning through girl-led outdoor experiences. We've covered some of the basic principles of adult learning. Now let's look at some ways to set up an empowering learning environment for your participants. Take a minute to look over these suggestions to help you get your session off on the right foot and remain engaging through the end. Now we've got our learning environment set up to empower our learners, and we know what to expect from adult participants. Let's consider the how. What's the most effective way to reach those learners? Here is the three-step cycle of effective facilitation. Engage. Use an audio, visual, or movement exercise to get your learners engaged from the start, and then keep them engaged through different techniques throughout the session. Debrief. After covering a topic, make sure participants have a chance to react and reflect on the application of that information. One of the most effective debriefing methods is simply asking questions, which we'll cover in Part 3 of the Facilitating Adult Learning. Finally, summarize and apply the information. Summarizing can be done a variety of learner-focused ways. For example, don't tell them what they've learned. Let it be their summary. Examples include small group summations, learning logs, and graphic summaries. Even within a short session, this three-step process may be repeated a number of times. By following this simple three-step model and having clear, SMART learning objectives to guide you, your facilitation will stay on track and result in meeting the learning objectives for the participants. In order to understand the three-step cycle, let's look at a few facts. The engage, debrief, summarize, apply cycle is aligned with how adults learn and those 6 principles of adult learning that we covered. Adults are problem solvers and self-directed learners, and it's important to tap into their motivation. As a facilitator, help your learners transfer their learning from the workshop to the real world so that they can see how this information will help them in their roles as Girl Scout volunteers. One of the primary differences between a presentation and a facilitated learning session is that a presentation may only engage the participant, whereas a facilitated learning session completes the learning cycle. A presentation may be used as step 1 to engage, but unless it is debriefed and summarized, applied for application, learning may not be transferred. Let's take a minute to check in and think about what we've learned. Finally, we're going to go through some of the characteristics of different learning styles. Most people have similar preferences for acquiring and processing new information, preferring to learn through one of the following 3 ways. Seeing, the visual learner. Hearing, the auditory learner. Touching, doing, the kinesthetic learner. A skilled facilitator will engage all 3 types by using a variety of approaches. Visual learners learn best by seeing new information. Visual learners prefer to read or see the information in a written format or in graphics or pictures that represent the information. Auditory learners learn best by learning new information. Kinesthetic learners prefer hands-on experience to learn and acquire new skills or information. Thank you for following along with us in Module 2 of Facilitating Adult Learning. Make sure to save any notes that you want to keep for yourself, on paper or in a separate document, and then, when you're ready, continue on to Part 3.